You ever get the feeling your life is about to turn into an episode of Cops, but with less chasing and more HOA drama? That's where I was, standing in the middle of the Cedar Key post office, when the steel security shutter came slamming down behind me, hard enough to rattle my teeth and my sense of personal freedom. There I was, locked in with a dozen neighbors, the smell of government floor wax burning my nose, and in walks Karen Tillman, president of the Fox Glove Landing Homeowners Association. You think you know petty? You don't know petty until you've seen a woman in a lavender pantsuit try to commandeer federal mail like she's staging a coup. Postmaster Henderson, God bless his weary, government-issue soul, stood at the counter, one hand on the phone, the other hovering near the panic button. Karen, dolly full of gray mail bins at her feet, squared up like she was about to order an airstrike on bad landscaping. She launched in. This is outrageous. I demand access to these bins. There have been complaints. As if waving her HOA badge gave her FBI powers. I couldn't help but laugh, even if it was the sort that catches in your throat. The only complaints about the mail were the ones she made up to justify opening your birthday cards and slapping violation stickers on your Amazon packages. You see, I'm Hank Flanders, a guy who makes his living selling commercial hardware, hinges, locks, the whole 9 yards. I keep every receipt. I don't like chaos. Karen was chaos with a name tag, a one-woman tornado tearing through our community with HOA citations and a flair for drama. My wife Jane stood next to me, phone in hand, recording the whole scene like it was a nature documentary. She's an EMT, never blinks in a crisis. Me, I break out in hives if the kitchen drawer is messy. Karen kept ramping up, her face going pinker by the second, ranting about mail compliance. But the postmaster wasn't having it. "Ma'am," he said, flat as Kansas, "please step away from the outgoing mail bin. You're interfering with the delivery of U.S. mail. That's a federal offense. Several, in fact." I could almost see her brain short-circuit. Her usual tricks, intimidating bored HOA members over garden gnomes, weren't working here. The kicker? She'd followed our mail carrier, Maria, back from the neighborhood kiosk, demanding to pre-sort our mail for violations. Maria shut her down, so Karen decided to storm the post office herself. She called it protecting property values. We all called it something else. Henderson, still calm, eyes glued to Karen, spoke into the phone. "Yes, sir, she's still here. She's refusing to relinquish mail bins." He was calling the Postal Inspection Service, think federal SWAT team, but with clipboards. Karen tried to stare him down. He didn't blink. A few neighbors looked ready to faint, but not Jane. She had her red recording light glowing, steady as ever. If we were going down, we were going down with a paper trail. Well, video trail. But right then something shifted. The tension was thick enough to chew. Karen realized, maybe for the first time in her life, she couldn't bully her way out. The post office, locked tight, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, felt less like a room and more like a pressure cooker. That's when Mrs. Gable, nervous and pale, piped up from near the photo booth. "My husband's medicine, it was supposed to come today. Did you see a white cooler?" You could see the panic ripple across Karen's face. She waved her hand, dismissive. "It's all being sorted. If it was urgent, they should have planned better." I couldn't help myself. A pancreas doesn't run on your schedule, Karen. The shield of her authority had more holes than Swiss cheese. Jane switched from filmmaker to EMT in a heartbeat. "What medicine, ma'am?" "Insulin. The specialty kind." Tears in her eyes. "Needs it in an hour." You could almost hear the clock start ticking, every fluorescent flicker suddenly loud as a siren. We all stared at Karen's bins, and there it was, a white cooler, red letters, medical supplies. Mrs. Gable cried out, pointing. That's when my anger went cold. This wasn't about mail anymore. This was about a life. Henderson stepped around the counter, all the bureaucracy gone from his voice. "Mrs. Tillman, give me the cooler. Now." Karen actually stepped in front of the dolly, arms out like she was protecting buried treasure. "It's evidence. It all has to be processed correctly." Jane stepped up beside Henderson, all calm steel. "That cooler contains temperature-sensitive medication. Someone's health depends on it." I stood behind them, arms crossed. The unspoken message, this stops here. The crowd started murmuring. "Give her the medicine," someone snapped. "What is wrong with you?" Karen looked from face to face, searching for backup. She found none. For just a second, I saw a flicker of fear in her eyes, real, unfiltered fear. Then her mask snapped back on, all defiance. It would have been delivered eventually. Rules are rules. Mine, she hissed. I'd had enough. Eventually isn't good enough, Karen. Mr. Gable's pancreas doesn't care about your logbook. That hit home. She shrank a little, stripped of her titles and fake authority, just Karen in a lavender suit, holding someone's health hostage. Henderson's patience snapped. The cooler. Now. Or this gets much worse. The tension felt electric, everybody holding their breath, waiting to see which way she'd jump. And jump she did, straight into Crazy Town. With a screech, she lunged for the outgoing mail bin instead, sending the dolly slamming into Leo, a teenage clerk. Karen shoved him, hard, and he bounced off the P.O. boxes with a metallic clang. Assault on a federal employee. Not exactly a misdemeanor. Jane rushed to check Leo, but Karen, wild-eyed, tried to hoist the bin and bolt. It was so heavy she barely got it off the ground. I stepped in, planting my hand on the bin. Never touched her, just the bin. Let go, Karen. She pulled, mail flying everywhere. Birthday cards, bills, catalogs scattering across the floor. Henderson pulled out his phone, camera aimed at her. Evidence, evidence, and more evidence. And then, like a switch, the fight drained out of her. Sirens wailed outside. Karen dropped the bin, shoulders slumped. She finally understood. This wasn't her little fiefdom anymore. She was done. The postal inspectors arrived, Navy windbreakers, all calm and cool authority. Postmaster Henderson? That's her, Karen Tillman. Tried to remove bins, assaulted my clerk. Leo got checked, Mrs. Gable got her cooler, and Karen got read her rights. Hands behind your back, ma'am. Click. The handcuffs echoed off the tile. Jane caught the whole thing on camera, face and all. But the plot thickened. While collecting evidence, the inspectors found a forged mail hold form, signed by some phony architectural board, authorizing a full mail stop for our whole neighborhood. A shell game. The signature? A fake. The name? Arthur Pendleton. There's no Arthur Pendleton on our board. The address? A vacant lot. The payment? Money orders. Untraceable. That night, Jane and I sat at the kitchen table, laptops out, piecing together what we'd seen. A fake board, a secret P.O. box, a shell company funneling money. Why? Turns out, a developer named Marcus Thorne, not even a resident, was in deep with Karen, using her to intercept ballots and legal notices about the sale of our Greenbelt land. Millions were at stake. All that HOA compliance stuff was a smokescreen for a land grab. We needed proof. That's when Arthur Williams, our nervous, soft-spoken board secretary, came into play, a twist straight out of a movie. Jane invited him for coffee at a shop out of town, no pressure. We slid him a still from the post office camera, Karen and Marcus Thorne, opening the secret P.O. box. Arthur's hands shook. We told him what we knew, laid it all out. He broke. Turns out, he'd been forced to record Karen soliciting the bribe, just in case. He handed us a digital recorder, eyes pleading for protection. Then he gave us a flash drive with the real HOA ledgers. Every dirty transaction, every fake invoice, all the money trails. We spent a night combing through it. It was uglier than we thought. Karen had been collecting fat consulting fees, slapping phony fines on residents, funneling developer money through fake improvement projects. The coup de grace was the audio, Karen and Thorne, bold as brass, talking payouts for rigging the vote. We called Inspector Roar, handed over everything. She was thrilled. But we knew there was only one way to end it, make it public. The next HOA meeting, the clubhouse was packed. Karen stood at the podium, ready to announce her grand plan to sell the green belt. I stood up. Point of order, Madam President. Jane fired up her laptop, plugged it into the projector. For 15 minutes, the room watched the whole story. Every fake form, every shove, every damning recording, Jane narrating every detail. The room went from stunned silence to an explosion of outrage. Karen's reign ended right there. The Martins, her loyal sidekicks, resigned. Arthur was nominated as interim president. Karen slunk out, a trail of angry neighbors behind her. But the real reckoning was yet to come. A few weeks later, we sat in federal court. Karen and Thorne, shrunken and pale, faced a no-nonsense judge. The prosecutor ran through the mountain of evidence, forged documents, the bribe recording, the insulin incident. Thorne got a massive fine and a ban on doing business in our county. Karen got hit with restitution, thousands in fines, and for poetic justice, a 5-year, 20-foot restraining order from any post office or mail kiosk. Her new commute was sweeping floors at the post office for community service, under the unblinking eye of Postmaster Henderson. The woman who wanted to control every mailbox couldn't get within arm's reach of one. The moral, if there is one: power is a funny thing. People crave it for the strangest reasons, sometimes to do good, sometimes just to fill a hole inside. But power built on fear, secrecy, and greed always collapses. Eventually, someone stands up, calls the bluff, and documents every single step. And when karma finally lands, it lands like a dropped mail bin, loud, messy, and public. Foxglove landing healed. We held new elections, posted financials online, made the mail kiosk a federal sanctuary. Arthur marked a 20-foot orange line around it, Karen's personal no-go zone, visible for all to see. And you know what? The mail felt different after that. Safer. Sacred, almost. Just bills and catalogs, sure, but also a sense of trust restored. So here's my question for you. How far is too far when someone abuses power? Should we have gone easier on Karen, or was that karma with interest? Ever been on the receiving end of petty tyranny, or maybe, accidentally, the one swinging the gavel a little too hard? Let me know in the comments. I've told my story. Now I want to hear yours.